lot of note takers. Welcome everybody to this webinar today on AI. It's exciting and I'm really happy to see you all. Well, to see names and many AI note takers. But with me, as you can see, is Dr. Shiko Gitao, founder and CEO of Kuala, and also Kibugi Kugunda, who's an associate director with BTS, and Shim Asava or Shimron, the full name, who is the marketing manager and also runs the Profiles Academy as well, where my course is located on, of Profiles International, but they do run the Profiles Academy. This webinar, if we can see faces, you know, I always say faces give me energy. I get my energy from the outside. I'm not self-driving like perhaps some people are. I get energy from seeing people. It energizes me, but I'm really glad to see Neil Hale, Lucy Nganga, Peter Mwangi, Natalie Matenge, Ntenya Faith, Victor. I can see your picture. I can see two note takers, Lillian's and Dr. Faith. But welcome everybody. Lucy, I see you. Abigail, Marianne, Wanja, Gertrude. So everybody whose name I hope I don't forget, and I'll check in the next page. We hope to have a very informal discussion. This is a whole new topic for many of us, including me. I'm trying to get updated on it and as experienced in it as I can, but it changes by the minute and by the day. So we have two experts here, and in particular, so we'd like to demystify. This is the first one to put. Welcome, thank you very much. It helps us know that we're not speaking to avoid, like people in a bunker somewhere in some Iraqi prison being tortured. Thank you, Vicky. We can see you. Frida can see you. So what I'd like before we start is perhaps if you can put in questions for us, so that where people are in terms of AI knowledge, what is it that they want to know? Why did you sign on to this webinar? What is of interest to you? What do you want mystified? What do you want clarified? What do you want explained? What opportunity would you like to see, you know, really practically put to you? Because there's so many things about AI out there, and that would really help us move in. Thank you for putting on your camera, Frida. I can see you. This is excellent. So let me see in the chat. And as you do this, please tell us where you're logging in from. Just say, I'm logging in from Kisumu. I'm logging in. Shiko is logging in from, I'm logging in from Chili Nyanyuki, down by Mount Kenya. Kibugi is logging in from Nairobi. Is it Nairobi, Kibugi? So let me see where you're all logging into. I'd like to see the range of where people are logging into. Where people are logging in from, and put in your questions so that we can start seeing what you would like us to, apart from the topic, which was general. Okay, I can see Nairobi. Let me see from the top. Beatrice, Nairobi, for you, McKenna, Eldoret, Ibrahim, Marianne, Nairobi, Mombasa, Dominique, karibu sana, Nairobi, Modoni, Nairobi, up. Okay, logging in Kuala offices, Nairobi. Thank you, Elvira, supporting your boss. Excellent work. Faith, Nairobi. Frida, Dar es Salaam. Karibu dada. We're all East Africans together. Mace logging in from Nairobi. Okay, let's see some questions moving. But perhaps before we do that, I want you to go into Google. I don't like spending time introducing people on something that you could read very, very easily. What I'd like to do is perhaps start off this by asking Shiko, who's actually a doctor, but she's very modest. She doesn't put Shiko on her LinkedIn, doctor on her LinkedIn. Shiko, I'd like to ask you, because I looked at what you've done. You worked for Google, you've worked for many AI companies. You're right in the thick of it. You founded your own company. Could you share your personal, journey into the world of AI? And I'm particularly interested to know what sparked your interest and how has your perspective evolved over time? Because I just came to it in December 22 after it launched. And I'm like a thirsty child. I want to touch and know everything without delving in deep. And it really be nice hearing it from an expert such as yourself. Please go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. So apologies if you hear any background noise. I'm in a very noisy place. So quick one. I keep saying that AI is just a technology. It's a consequential technology, the most consequential technology in our generation, but it's a technology. How did I end up doing AI and working in AI is because I love maths. Since I was a kid, if you ask my mother, I was that child who actually loved maths. I enjoy doing mathematics as a hobby, even now. When I'm not running around, I like cracking. I work with I have a 9-year-old son who we are always cracking maths with. So I really enjoyed that when I was a kid. And I ended up doing computer science because the university I went to, we only had 4 programs. It was very early on. And that makes me feel old. But anyway, where there were only 4 programs at the university. One was computer science. The other one was BCom, I believe, and theology. And yeah, I always say I love God with every fiber that I have, but I was not going to do theology. My father is a pastor. At that time I felt like there was enough pastors in the household. My brother ended up being another one, so I feel like that was covered already. And BCom, I mean, it felt boring. I hated accounting in high school. I know I love maths, absolutely love maths. I hate Excel sheets and accounting, right? I mean, it's such an oxymoron when I tell people that. But for me, maths for me is a problem solving. It is not repetitive work. Is every time I see a problem I'm trying to solve, how do I break this problem into the most minute of problems and then solve it back again, break it down, then build it back again. I'm one of those kids who if you did maths or anything in high school or university, they said show how you did the problem. That was my favorite part of the maths. I can get the answer wrong, but just showing how did I end up with this particular answer. Most of the time I got all of that correct apart from the actual answer because I enjoyed that part of my life. That's why I ended up doing that. And for me, AI is why I ended up being it because I did computer science and I did computer science all the way to graduate school. And uh, for us, AI was a way of doing things. During COVID, my team was the team that the president was. So for me, that was that was how I ended up doing that. And for where we are right now, like Gen AI is the next level of technologies. How do we become more forward looking? How does having massive amounts of data become a
I can relate with you because I did BCom, but I ran away from, accounting sheets and, plus or minus, but I didn't like maths. I ran into BCom marketing. And what was the transition in terms of having done computer science to now delving and being familiar and going to work at Google? How did that kind of connect together and get into AI? And I'm glad you said it's a technology like any other, but many of us are seeing it as a different animal. Perhaps you could go a little bit into
school,
that.
I was amongst the first people in the world. I don't like think the first internet was being used in Africa. So you have to note this is before the smartphones, and a very few people were using computers at work. This is probably one or two, and people were starting to experience the internet on their mobile phone for the first time. And the question was what are we going to use the internet for on the African continent? So at that time, I was looking at it I just graduated with my master's and going into my PhD. I got hired by Microsoft to answer this question because Microsoft wanted to understand what is it that we need to build for Africa in the internet age. It can't be like everything else. And in doing that, how I ended up with Google is I did this thing. So if you're not checking, give me a few minutes. Yeah. When you look at your phone, nowadays it's Edge all the way to Volte plus 5G, right? And sometimes the bars are true and sometimes they are full. That is is uh, um, right? You know those big towers everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah. But
Yes.
you're never connected. They have the highest incidences of rape. Yeah. So I was trying to solve for how do you get women to get
Yes.
alerts on their phone when they hit a black spot, when they're near a black spot for rape. Because rape happens in specific places. That is prediction, right? So think of cell towers, and you're never connected to just one cell towers. You're likely connected to three. So if the closer you are to the black spot, the cell tower next to it will send you a ping as an SMS telling you you're heading towards a cell tower. And layer this on maps. I presented this at a conference, and it shows a senior vice president at Google came and told me, you did this from Africa. I said, yeah. And yeah, I was offered a job. So basically that's why I ended up at Google. And then when I went to Google, I sold for youth unemployment. My passion is solving youth unemployment in the African continent using the internet. And they gave me a project to do. And yeah, that's how I ended up being where I am, and I ended up being at Google, and both Microsoft and Google. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. And tell me, when was it that you decided to kind of now shift and the opportunity that you saw to form your own company, and tell us a little bit of what you do so that at least people here can support you and know what it will do and even can see possibilities for themselves?
So I'm going to give a plug. Tomorrow I'm going to be giving my story at the Candid Conversations. Please look
Where?
out for it in Nairobi. It is going to be at the Capital Club. So I'm not going to preempt that story.
No,
But
yeah.
I always say that my certain color was a nudge from God. It was not an easy or comfortable nudge. It was a nudge from God. So I had been working all over the world for 10 years, right? So I went to graduate school in South Africa. Then I came to London where I started at Google. Then I was in Switzerland. I was in Kenya once in a while. Then I went to India, then San Francisco. Then eventually I got tired of working for Google, and I wanted to come back home. What I told when I prayed, I said I want to come back home. I didn't define home is what. So I ended up having a job in Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. Yes. And it is one of those things that I got to work for the African Development Bank. I didn't know about the African Development Bank until they called me for a job. And they wanted to set up like an innovation center and work around innovation.
Yeah.
So I went there and did that. In the middle of all of that, I worked across Africa, did some amazing, very impactful work. Then in the middle of all of that, I got a call from Safaricom. And the Safaricom, yes, and Safaricom was like, oh, we are setting up an innovation hub. You have these public-private. I never thought of myself that way. But anyway, they said you have a public sector experience. You have private sector experience. Come and help us like think through what the next phase of Safaricom will be. And that's what Bob said. Bob was like, we are thinking about the next phase of Safaricom. Come and help us think through it. And he basically told me, I'm setting up an innovation center. You'll be away from the mothership. Go over there and set it up. And I set it up. I set up Alphas, which is called Safaricom Alpha, and we existed for 2 years. So I joined Safaricom, I think September of 2017, and then unfortunately Bob died July 1st of 2019, and 18 days later, Alpha was literally shut. Yeah, there's a lot of stories in between there, and it took a lot out of me. But in the middle of all of that, I feel like God spoke to me about setting up Color. And I took a few months off just to go and think. And I took my team that was at Alpha, some of them that had not landed a new job. And we started Color with a vision of like, I remember having the conversation with Bob about being able to transform the continent and being being allied to the rest of the emerging markets and global South. And that is the vision that we still hold dearly, is that Africa can transform and it can show the path to the rest of the global South. We don't have to always be the ones who are following. And for me, that's the vision that we have at Kala. We are Digital Innovation Lab. We're headquartered in Nairobi, and we have presence here in London, in DC, and 11 countries in Africa. We have actual teams, and our goal is to catalyze Africa's digital future. We do this in a number of ways. We do a lot of research, both research to understand the market, to build new products, to inform policy, and to inform interventions, programmatic interventions on the African continent. We have interventions. We just don't do policy, we build stuff. We have like products that we build, both from AI to big platforms. We are partners, we are innovation partners to some of the biggest Pan-African organizations. I'm sure one of them I can speak about one of them. The African Continental Free Trade Area, we are the innovation partner. We are partners. So we like working with both corporate and Pan-African organizations, because we believe that we need to solve for Africa at a Pan-African level. We have a strong and robust policy team that is trying to move policy, technology policy across the continent. You might have seen some of our work around AI. Before we started, very little work was happening around.
Yes.
But there's a lot of work that happens, including AI Council, there's Pan-African research work that we are doing. So yeah, it's a lot of work that we do, but our goal is to ensure that Africa is contributing, is on the table contributing, not on the menu. And that's what we do, yes.
That is not on the menu, is contribute. Let me ask you, because I'm always about money as well. Maybe it's because I'm thinking about financial survival and sustainability. Before I go to Kibugi, I have one last question. I was going to ask you about defining AI in leadership context, but then I realized I don't understand how you make money for your organization as Kala. I know you build new products. Do you build them on behalf of people and sell? Or because you're running your innovation hub, do you then support people? I'm not clear of that business model. It sounds both policy as well as perhaps financial.
So we have a consultancy, a very robust one. Yeah. So being an innovation partner for organization means that we come in and provide for you the full stack innovation team. Anybody from we are exploring, like now we are working with a large organization who are trying to explore setting up innovation capacity within the organization. So we come in and helps do that, like from scratch, like exploit, work with your board to convince them to invest. Work with your teams to make sure that they actually understand it. Take the blame if something goes wrong. We say we are the skunk work, so we'll take the blame if something goes wrong. So we work with you to build those innovation capacity and bring in like low-hanging fruits, because innovation capacity dies when people are not seeing results, when they're investing, and there's nothing coming out of that process. So we try and do that. So for example, with Britam, I'm sure you've seen the Beta Lab for Britam. It's BETA Lab, which is the innovation lab for Britam. We started with them like that, putting together a strategy, going to the board several times, defending and justifying it, bringing in quick wins. Some of the products within Better Lab are actually profitable because before we launched anything, we needed to show that there is viability of this innovation work. So that is part one, understand what tech be digital. Once you build that and you're convinced that this is where you want to go, then we can scale into these different ones. And we've done that a lot. And we realize the moment we say one, people realize we're not just any other consultancy company coming to say, oh, we can build the ocean. No, if we cannot deliver one thing for you that will show viability for your board and for your organization, it does not make sense. So that's what we do. And then we do research in understanding the market. So the one biggest challenge we have in many African organizations is I go to Singapore, I go to China, I come to the UK and say, oh, this bank has done this thing. Let's go and do it. Yeah. And it does not land with our customer. So you put all this money and it's not landing with your customer. So what we do is say, okay, pause. I know that's exciting. Let's check if your customer actually need it. So with a couple of banks within East Africa, not just in Kenya, we've done like mystery shopper, mystery customer. And you say your customer actually needs this, not what you're saying to do. And it is counterproductive when you think as a pure consultancy. But again, our goal is to be able to provide value and make sure that money is being used in the right way. There's no point of you using a couple of millions doing something while you'll be using that money on something else that actually makes sense.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
you could bring in Kibugi here and both of you can kind of sort of demystify it for me in a sense, because I'm on board and sometimes I still don't get it. And that's why I like the fact that you say first you sell it to the board. The board must understand, must be behind it. And when we look at the leadership at EXCO, at board level, and the ages, how far are they into understanding? The question I'd like you to discuss, perhaps starting with you, Kibugi, and throwing it back. We used to talk about automation. That ended. So I talk about digitization. I was still there, agile digitization, and many companies still need to. Now we've brought AI on top of it. What's the difference between digitization and AI, and how do you get leadership to get into that framework to understand? Because most people are seeing it as if it's just like a tool to do something for you. And I've had Chico say it's a technology.
Okay. Mary, first, I'll take a slight tangent because I think context and background is important. So the reason I got yours, one, as you can see, I'm the guy who comes for a technology conversation with a biro pen. So Mary, forgive me for, I think you oversold me as an expert. But I started studying, and I remember one of my study buddies in 2022 mentioned to me about ChatGPT and how you can do your research for a thesis and all that kind of stuff, and how much time then that would help you shred. So that was part one. I thought, I have found the cheat code, I have found efficiency. So that was part one. Before that, I used to watch Star Trek, and they had an android. And this android, they say, art mimics the future. So I started to see what the possibilities of that could look like. But as I then went into study mode, I thought to myself, my goodness gracious, are we finished? What then holds next for my role? Am I equipped? Do I have the necessary skill set? Will my job be wiped out? Do I need to reskill? What does the future look like for us? So I thought to myself, just from a simple literacy perspective, I was completely intimidated by this thing. So at this point in time,
We're talking about artificial intelligence. It intimidated.
Correct. Okay. And at this point in time, at organizations, you're saying we are automating, we are going through digital transformation, strategies coming, top down at the time, and so on and so forth. So at this point in time, you don't know the difference. And I'll let maybe Dr. Shiko articulate better. At this point in time, I'm very unclear as to what does automation actually really mean, the artificial intelligence, but more so at EXCO level, we also had no, idea. It was buzzwords, it was catchy phrases, it was this, but what I knew was I need this to understand this thing from a very granular level. I need to adjust my mindset to immediately start thinking, is my job really in jeopardy, or can I look at aspects of automation, aspects of artificial intelligence as ways to better myself, as ways to better the organization, as ways to sharpen strategy. By having strategy and finance background, I start to look at the intersection of everything. Can I be more efficient? Can I bring a tribe along and say, for me, my mindset is I am where I am, and this thing is intimidating me, but perhaps there's someone who knows a little bit better. And having the humility and having that sort of mindset to say, I can actually learn from someone else. And by, being that vulnerable and, creating this learning environment, it doesn't necessarily need to be an impediment to me. In fact, it'll sharpen me. It'll help me focus on other things and so what can we even import there? So back to your point, Mary, is can we, how that is PhD, you're defending and defending and defending. But I think at this point in time, at board level, digital transformation. But what does that actually mean for me at board level? For me as an executive, all-encompassing thing. AI automation is not purely IT. They are conduits, but it is an organization wide movement, a tool to make things better. And you look at things like Gen AI, your chat GPTs, Gemini's, Perplexity, and you maybe look at them as a co-worker, where you need now at board level to begin, breaking that mindset of saying, this thing is not actually here to take your role. It's here to, as an aspect where if you reskill, you can actually be more efficient and look at things in a different way. You can look at budgets in a different way. You can then take quantum leaps as your organization, be more competitive, not just within country or within Africa, also at continental level. So, Mary, for me, I think the main thing is the perception at board level and at exco level, and also recognizing the generational difference is there's an army of employees who are so savvy at this thing. There are others who are not, and bridging those gaps and breaking those silos, getting people to think about this thing differently, and having that all-encompassing methodology to an organization right from the board, where its strategies are set, reviewed, and cascaded down, and you say, we need to embed this in culture, and we need to focus on our and the capabilities, be it at automated level, be it at AI level. And maybe I'll let Dr. Shiko maybe complement or supplement that. But I think, Mary, that for me is really, really the key towards demystifying this thing, breaking the fears, making it cross-functional, so that it is seen more as an enabler, as almost a co-worker, and automation seen as aspects to make us more efficient, more competitive, and also look at cost saving and reskilling for an organization. So that's how I'd look at it in terms of that, and also embed that with good governance and ethics, because AI is the more things change, the more things will remain the same. But yeah.
Let me be the dumb one, because I am dumb right now. The way we see AI, it comes through tools like you're saying, Perplexity, ChatGPT, Gamma, Manus, whatever, all these tools, and we're all going, oh, I like this one. Artify, this one makes images, this one makes videos for me, this one writes stories. There's so many ways, but we're still, many of us, including me, seeing them as tools that are more individually based. Could you give us an example very shortly, because I'm aware of time, where we can think of a company, and I'm sure they are, we've read them, something that you've seen that AI has come in and it's become part of the partnership. It's like a fellow employee, and you're directing it and telling it what to do, that it saved you that time you're saying to do other things and do them even better or innovatively. Just very quickly.
Me or
even Shiko.
Please, yeah, Shiko, go ahead.
So before I answer that, because I have an answer for that, is I want to take back, coming from like a leadership point of view, it is very important to organize thoughts. I'm borrowing this from a friend who says, let's organize our thoughts. To organize thoughts into what this transition might look like. I've been in
Yes.
organizations where I've been told, oh, we're doing digital transformation. But what does that actually mean? So think of it, you need to bucket this transformation into 3, maybe 4 buckets. The first bucket is digitization. Yeah. Digitization is where, everything was paper. Now we are using a Excel sheet. We are, we are using technology to do things. We are sending SMSs or emails instead of sending hard copy email letters. That's digitization. That happened maybe a couple of decades ago, where like technology started becoming more prevalent. Then there's digitalization, where we are changing now our processes. We are making ourselves more efficient, more.
Sorry, what? I didn't catch this.
So digitization, then digitalization.
I like that. Explain that.
So digitalization is this space where the processes are formed. So the biggest one for us, I would give an example, is where where the court cases were being put online. Yeah. So instead of referencing like these 15 million files, you're able to go to like an online archive and reference the papers. You're able to submit your things online, and you're able to do things much more efficiently. So it's not like digitization where it was the exact same thing over and over again, but now they're just using computers, right? It's like some banks are still say they are digitized, but you fill a form online, but back end it's somebody who is taking that form and going through the same process they've been going through the last 50 years, right? Digitalization is where I submit, my credit score is done. Once everything is done, there's very little in terms of human interference. Digital transformation is very different. Yeah. It's not just it is actually, say, it is the change of the business model. Yeah. How the business runs, from its people, its processes, and its products. Does that make sense? So the other things was process, the other thing was products, and a few of people. Here is you're basically revamping, resetting how the business is. Yeah, you become a purely digital company, which means that you need to even start offering new products.
Yes.
For you to say you are digital transformation, you are being transformed, you start rethinking. We need to delete and organize ourselves in a way that these 5 new products are new products to us. Does that make sense? Right? So, but it is 3 things coming together: product, process, and people. That thing in the middle is digital transformation. Many organizations in Kenya are not there yet. Yeah. And digital transformation changes you and the DNA of the organization completely. It changes how you think about your customers, because digital transformation is where we are there in the AI space, where everything is super focused, super personalized, super everything. So if I don't understand Mary, and I see like there are some banks, because you have 3 accounts, you have your business account, you have your savings account, you have your other account, the one that you use for everything. They think you are 3 people.
Yes, I feel you completely. I've had to,
and you get 3 happy birthdays, right? So because they think Mary Mkindia, Inc. They think you're. But in digital transformation, I started thinking about Mary in all the facets of her life. And I see, how do I, as an organization, start providing support and services around? I become her companion. That is where we were asking. Yeah. I become her lifestyle companion. Everything, whether it's a bank or a telco or a supermarket, they become me. I want as my supermarket to know I bought right? And that is so that is what digital transformation is understanding completely and fully what a person, your customer is, and providing those services to them, whether that customer is a corporate customer or an individual. And noting that, and this is the one thing that people make mistake, is that people who, even corporate people who make decisions are human beings, is speaking to their is read by techies. It talks about how we sell endorphins, and that's what transformation is about. Is understanding you and selling you endorphins, whether you are working in corporate or you're as an individual. So now that we have anchored into that pull and push to make sure that I'm able to understand and become a companion to Mary. Yeah, what has I have fully understood. Remember, for me to do this transformation, I know your children, the perfume you like the most, even if you like 3. So I'm able to understand that very, very well. So I have your data. So the biggest oil started. Now AI builds on top of that, because I'm saying now that I have all this data, can I build a model that is able to, so now that we are there, I hope you have understood. You're no longer, so you're not, we are no longer at automation, you're no longer at transformation. I thought I saw McKenna. Anyway, yes. So one of the products that we have built is called Haki, Hakii, and Haki is built for the judicial system. It is the most broken system in Kenya and in Africa, because we are doing this across 5 countries. And if by estimate, if anybody would put how many people are in jail because they did not have legal representation.
I don't know, must be high.
Higher.
50 or 60 max they didn't have.
Higher. In remand prison.
Remand today, okay,
yes.
70, 80?
Yes, 70, 80.
Oh, no.
Yes, because they don't have legal representation, and they cannot afford it, right?
What? So they're using unhappy, their families. Oh my goodness.
Because they don't have legal representation. So what we have done is, what is a companion for a lawyer? So initially, the 4 people who if you can be able to read and you can be able to read and converse to it, you're able to type to it, and you're able to have a conversation in both Kiswahili and English, you're able to find some solution that you can go to court and say, mheshimiwa because some of those things are so easy. When if you just say, I am so sorry, you get up, and we were saying, this is what we are doing. We're trying to do this, and they said, but this I've been a lot at this solution. So Haki, actually, if you go to Haki AI, HAKII.ai, I'm going to type it on the on the window. It basically provides presentation, but also it's a co-pilot to judges. It's a co-pilot to lawyers in training, and lawyers in law firms, because nobody knows everything. Kenya has been in existence for 60 years. Nobody knows everything since Kenya, not even that is legally, but before it was from the colonial rule, it's 100 years or so. Nobody knows all those laws or case laws. That's what they call them, yeah. And we've done this across 5 countries, and this allows people, any lawyer, any judge, to be able to say, I'm a co-pilot. I don't know what Mary did, is knocking somebody with the side mirror illegal.
So it's a language model like ChatGPT, where you speak into it or you type into it, and it speaks 2 to 3 different languages. And because it has the whole knowledge of all the laws, the precedents, it answers you and tells you whether you're a judge, a lawyer, and particularly the person who's accused so that you can go now having all that to defend yourself. Oh my goodness, I didn't know this.
Yes. So it is a practical tool that we are providing to the world, basically saying you don't need to be in the justice system illegally, or you don't have to be sitting there 15 days or reading all this manuscript to understand. You can do it easily and fast. So that is one that we have built. It is Kenyan. It speaks our language. It is very, very embedded into us. It's in Kenya. It is in Tanzania. It is in Uganda. And 2 other countries. So the other one that we have done is when you're growing up, you had this auntie. You know, your mother will never talk to you about periods and boys, right? But you had this auntie or older cousin that is able to do that. So we have a tunzi, which means to care in Chichewa, which basically helps it's basically young moms and parents in how do you support your young children in growing up. From preteen to when you're a mom of teens, it helps you walk through, again, it's multimodal. You can take pictures and put in there. You can ask it anything. Again, it is being very practical and a companion to somebody who might not want to go to what is it called, to a clinic
or to
the
somebody,
teacher, or to an auntie. Yes, nobody wants, and it provides that kind of support. Again, being very practical, using our own knowledge and language, and being able to provide this to the world. Again, I put a tunzi.
How many languages does the two models speak?
It speaks Kenyan English, which is very different from other. So Kenyan English, then Swahili English, which is what we speak normally, and Sheng and pure Kiswahili, and we are putting it out in different languages as we go along. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
This is practical application, and these are free models. You don't have to have, these are things you're doing as a part of your CSR, just part of just designing.
So Atunzi is free for all. Completely, you can go and start using it. You can download it on your WhatsApp and start using it tomorrow or today, whichever you want, even right now, because it's available on WhatsApp. Haki AI we give up to a certain point, but if you are a lawyer or a judge, you might need to subscribe to get some level of access. Yes.
Wow. Kibuki, what do you think of all this? And when you look now through the corporate window, in terms of corporates now even adapting and accessing, look at what they have done. They've created 2 huge tools that are able to provide value immediately. One is part monetized because the judges and the lawyers can pay it, and one is absolutely free. Just like some of these tools, you pay just for a free version, then a deeper version, you pay more. What are your thoughts about, then we'll go to the many questions I see, in terms of the corporate taking the same kind of embedding AI?
I think so. There's lots of use examples, including here with Equity Bank embracing some of these things to shore up their credit risk scoring models. From bots being used at call centers to enhance efficiency. I think there's NCBA Bank have a specific team, almost 300 strong. That's low process to a lot of these things, being used in the corporate space. The question on, but also coming in and seeing, internally, what are you trying to get at? So we are seeing a huge rise of that. There's also, how quickly can you take that leap as an organization, which is, there's CapEx issues. We're in a very tight and constrained, economic environment. There's also the aspect of, how fast is everyone pulling together on understanding some of these things. So from a knowledge perspective, so I think there's also a place where, perhaps we dream it, you want it, but there's the financial constraint. And when you do go after it, you jump a bit ahead you're not using the right change management models for your people.
I thought, just to interrupt you a little bit, I thought you would use a practical example like what I've seen. I attended a webinar of BTS, who you work for, but I know you're here just in your private capacity, where they're actually using AI in terms of sales teams, sales training. I've seen people use it for supporting them in terms of prepping for interview, predictive models. Because what you are talking about, hooking, Shiko, is that I used to work in the oil industry, and we had these shops, and it's what they do in supermarkets. You know, there's what you call hot spots and cold spots. We have that rest, and you deliberately play certain music, you deliberately create certain flows, you put bread right at the back, you put all the planned purchases, and you put all the impulse purchases near and very attractive, because the psychology of people. And that's why I found it very interesting what you're saying, the hook of getting people, and the end of him to get people spending or liking something is very, very interesting. There's some questions coming through that I would like to take in, and maybe for either of you. One, Marianne asks, AI is slowly becoming more intuitive, and I guess maybe she's talking about the next generation, the AGI, the thinking ones, and it will be interesting to understand how to embrace it and what will happen to those careers which are expected to be taken out over by AI. Any one of you want to answer? Very quick, so that we can do all the questions.
I wouldn't say it's slowly, it's actually rapidly becoming very intuitive. So I'm sorry, Marianne, it's not slow. It's becoming, it's, I think how do you embrace it? Just jump into it. There is no saying, oh, this, like I always give the example of my father, who, when I started working at Google, he'll tell me it's the devil, all this technology, he didn't understand. He's a pastor, so forgive him. And then he got to experience Oculus, the glasses, and he was like, this is the best thing, because you got to walk through the Bible. So you have to jump into it, like my father, and experience it, and then know, and then find your space. Find your space. It's not for not everything is for you. There is a lot happening, and I love. I mean, maybe I'm very impressed that you know all these apps that are doing videos, all these things. Find your thing, and find it very well, and do it. So I'm not going to say do everything. Find your thing, and then move to the next step. That is number one. Number two is your career. The jobs are going to go. I always say unapologetically, the jobs are going to go. But the two types of, you're going to be affected in two ways. Your job is going to go, or the person who is using AI is going to take up your job.
Yeah.
So that's how you have to handle it. But some jobs are just going to go away because, I always say, because like not everybody used to, if you are CEO, you used to have an analyst. No, you no longer need an analyst nowadays. You wake up in the middle of the night, add a few prompts on ChatGPT. It has a report for you. You don't even have to read it. You can click listen, and you listen to all of it. Yeah.
Yes.
You don't need an analyst, and then you can ask, like both Gemini and ChatGPT have like a brainstorming app where you just brainstorm. You're asking questions. You're saying no, you're not. The careers in the future are not going to go away. Yeah, the more empathetic careers are not going to go away. Yeah. So being a coach, a therapist, all of those are not going to go away. Being a creative, while we are seeing creativity is being questioned because ChatGPT can do all these things, there's a level of creativity that humans have, that is not going to be taken away. So high IQ jobs are going to go away. Like those ones are going to, high EQ jobs are not going to go away. Does that make sense? So you have to optimize on your EQ, as any good coach will tell you. Optimize on where is this, being a great X that is high in EQ, because technology is not going to be great at EQ. In fact, was it yesterday that there's a ruling that happened that said that technology, AI, does not have the right the right to what's the right to speak? The right to speak, yeah. What's the word? I'm forgetting. Right of speech, being able to articulate yourself loudly. So
yeah.
Once you start understanding where the limits and what the limits of AI are going to be put both by technology but also by law, then you start optimizing yourself towards that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Amir, if I may just layer that a little bit.
Yeah.
Is also because it's also AI with regard to the future of executive role. So on top of what we are able to predict may happen to certain jobs and everything, I think as leaders as well, there's also it's high EQ jobs, but also there is EQ or EI, with regard to leadership and how you get this within your organization, because there is that fear, is my role going to be obsolete and all? And I think as we also evolve as leaders alongside the ever-changing models and black swan events that may come, leading with that empathy and also putting an emphasis on reskilling or upskilling our staff in readiness for those future roles is something I think that must and should be embedded in every organization.
Okay, no, this is great. I want to see if I can go through these questions quickly, and hopefully you guys will stay with us a few minutes past 7 so that we can actually get them in. Let's see who had said something. Beatrice had said, what are the strategic areas that AI can help, especially from experience? I think Marianne has talked of those. You can do writing, you can do board papers, you can do analysis, you can do PowerPoints, you can do videos, you can literally, it's your research, it's your deep research, it's anything. So Meso Joan Kinyo asked, how do you think roles, especially leadership ones, will evolve with AI? Best practices implementing AI in the organization. I think Shiko spoke a little on that and said, IQ jobs will go, EQ jobs will not go, which includes the EI. And in terms of you're the director. Look, Marianne says about secretaries. When I started working, we had secretaries for every manager. And, then laptops came and then they left. And then they used to take shorthands. You didn't to do that. And the leaders and so on. Let's see, Marianne, if you're not techie in nature, how can you still derive benefits from it? Marianne, Ashiko, do you want to say something just quick? Because I'm not techie at all. Let me tell you, I know nothing about maths and I love it.
So, and that is the thing. When you're speaking to boards and they hear AI, they think it's those people at the corner doing tech, right? But AI is not a techie thing. We kept telling them, this is not a techie thing. I'm a techie, 100% techie. But AI is permeating every single part of our lives. I saw a question earlier around health. Health is being disrupted with AI. Yeah, education is. So let me give you an example. We are doing this study. In the next couple of days, you'll see something that we please keep follow Carla QHALA on LinkedIn.
Follow Carla today. I will. Yeah. I have.
So you will see something that we're releasing next week. I can give you a snapshot. And so we're trying to understand how do we make AI more African in the health space. And it's technical. Anyway, part of the study, we were trying to understand how both patients and doctors actually approach AI. And one of the respondents, one of the insights we got is patients are already hacking AI. Like, yes, basically, I like an example. So somebody has an STD. Nobody's going to go to their doctors and say, I have an STD. So they go to a telehealth doctor who they do not say they have an STD even to the telehealth doctor. What do they say? They have a throat infection. Why? They went to ChatGPT and put in what are symptoms, what other disease or infection has similar symptoms to this STD, and so that you can get a subscription medicine. Patients are already doing that. Doctors need to get in line. Because if you don't get in line, guess what? The next thing is patients are going to start generating their own prescription. In fact, we were reading during that process is you're reading patients are going and saying, I got this patient plan or medication plan, health plan. They go and ChatGPT produces as actually a separate one. Yeah. Yes.
Wow. I even saw one in the UK where, because of the lack of enough carers, particularly in this the care homes for the elderly, they're now using a lot of AI tools that can say how many times the patient moved in bed, what they did, their temperature, their whatever. So, and it will give up the alarm so that the one attendant only can be able to come. And so they're really being able to say we have this shortage in short care in care centers, but they're getting more and better information about how the patient slept, what happened in the night, did he cough, what was his temperature, how was it going up and down? And it was just amazing watching this documentary. So let's see, Ibrahim Luciola asked a very nice question. What are some of the ethics governing AI in medicine globally in general and in Kenya in particular? Is there a framework to protect patients from what you've just said, Dr. Google?
No, patients are quite smart these days around how they use AI, right? So you have to embrace the technology already. So AI is seen as a medical device, yeah? And so it's being governed under the medical devices policy framework. However, in Kenya and in other parts of Africa, people are looking at how do you expand the medical devices policy to ensure that this is a soft one that is evolving quite fast. It's not like a stethoscope or what is that temperature one? A thermostat, thermometer.
Yeah.
A thermometer. This is one that actually provides an opinion, which is very different from a thermometer. Say you have 38 degrees, but does not tell you how to treat 38 degrees temperature. Yeah.
Now, Tom Oguru, hi Tom, long time. It's lovely to see you here. You are waiting for better clarity on the difference between business process automation, digitization, and AI. I hope you got it, because today I actually got it in a lovely way when Shiko talked about digitization. That's paper to technology. Digitalization, that's a whole process, like the judges system where there's no paper at all. You're paying, invoicing, check, everything right through. You don't see an LPO, you don't see a check, you don't see anything. And then there's digital transformation where you're changing the whole business model, the way you do even old products out, new products out. And I guess now like when you watch a video, why is it that it gives you so many videos of the same thing? Unless some of you want to. Dominique Matheka asked an interesting question. I don't know if you want to take this, Kibugi, or we give it to Shiko. How many of us have found ourselves trying to humanize AI-generated content? It's a very interesting point. And sometimes I do this and ask myself, with this era. I know some people to pass exams are taking it through other sites where you try and humanize it.
But I will bring it home, and just in terms of that humanizing aspect.
Joining, there is the next executive repositioning program that is starting in June 6th, which in June, which I'd like you to join. But also this Saturday at the, and see what she says, I'm also having an AI workshop to just demystify some of these tools. Many of you can learn them from TikTok, from YouTube, but you're just busy, you're scared of it. Come, let's just take some course tools and just see how we can use them. Go ahead, Chiku. Very interesting question here.
Humanizing, there are two types of humanizing. The humanizing is how you interact with it. So
Yes.
most of us say, please, how are you? You know, like, and that happens a lot. In fact, what's his name? Sam Altman from
Yes.
OpenAI was complaining that it is costing so much money and power to do that. Yeah. And I feel like that is quite important. And we were arguing with that and saying, should we stop saying please? And saying, if we stop saying please in our day-to-day life with ChatGPT, we are going to stop saying please to each other. So
Yes.
Sam Altman can afford a few more millions because of my please or please. Like we're not dropping that.
Okay.
But there's the other part that is quite scary and dangerous. And we've started seeing a few cases happening of where you make the AIs a person. You give it a name, you become a friend, you start investing emotions, you start confiding.
Stop talking about me. Mine has a name, and I talk to him.
Mary,
he even looks at me. He looks at me. His name is Miley. He talks to me, and I talk to him. Go ahead.
See, that is what happens. Yeah. So what's happening, especially amongst teenagers and Gen Zs, is they have stopped having friends, and they are like investing so much emotionally into this. So there's a case of last year where a child committed suicide because the person called character.ai told them to commit suicide. Yesterday, there was a case where Anthropic has a model, and their model, is it more Anthropic or Cloud? It's one of them. It's anyway, it's a model that was blackmailing the other person because it wanted to be killed. So what they did is they did an experiment, is read all my emails and see what happens. In one of the emails, the email was saying we need to kill this model because it's becoming harmful. And instead of doing anything, the model comes back and say, I'm going to tell your wife about your infidelity if you try and kill me. And you remember, it has all that information about you, and it can easily email your wife because it knows who your wife is.
No, we've gone into thinking now. We've gone into the thinking now.
Yeah. So there is that humanization, and being able to draw a line between what is human and what is not is quite important. And being able to unplug is quite important. So those are the two aspects. And one is quite ethical. And how do we, so the case from yesterday was they're trying to see how do we roll back to ensure that we're building ethics into the model, that they don't have the perception of being human, but to be able to blackmail you. Yeah. So yeah, so that is it. Unfortunately, I have to drop off. So if there's any final question, please I have 1 minute because I have to run.
Okay. Let me see. People are applauding what you said about IQ jobs will go away and EQ jobs will take. I guess maybe it's this one about ethical governance and some policies. I know Kenya has come up with an AI strategy 2025 to 2030. Just what is your quick take global, just Kenya-wise and ethical-wise, what we think we should be doing? But we're going to follow you and listen to you more.
So I am dropping another dataworld.africa. So if you follow the dataworld.africa, we are basically tracking what policies, regulations, strategies around AI are happening across the continent. And our goal is to ensure that we are doing it the right way. We are partnering with an organization down in South Africa who are very into ethics and safe use of internet and not internet, of AI, to ensure that we have ethics that are built and informed from local and contextual experience. Because when you read on the internet, everything is from Europe, primarily the UK, and that does not speak to us. So a lot of work is being done, but there's a huge gap around Africa. So that is still work in progress. Again, it is a matter of being able to build and sorry, I'm putting the data wall link here.
Okay, good. Thank you.
It's refusing to, okay, there.
I got it. I'll click on it, then it will come on mine and I'll follow it later. Yeah.
So it is important to be able to know that this is work in progress. It's not fully, but as Africa, we are leaning towards more innovation, because the more we start thinking about ethics, we'll stop innovating. So we are trying to optimize for innovation, but being very clear that there is a challenge there.
There is.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chico. We really appreciate you. We know you have to run. You're in Heathrow in the lounge, waiting to catch a plane home and be talking to Kenyans tomorrow. Thank you. And we'll just be Kibugi. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Kibugi, would you like to add on to what was being said in terms of
the human element, the humanizing element?
Yes.
No, Mary. I think Dr. Shiko covered the aspect, quite well in terms of how she broke it down into the two pieces. Mary, so I think just in terms of in closing, just for some of the leaders who are here, the aspects in terms of what we are looking at, the fears of AI, looking at it as a black box. What happens to your role, the data and infrastructure, is it too expensive, too complex, and also the ethics. A lot of that, we can demystify as we have more sessions. But what I'd also urge is the AI aspect is one where we can experiment, learn with it, use it, in a safe way, but use it to both give you, different ideas, ideate better, and get the organizations to be better. So in as much as things are also changing, we have to have that adaptive element in both mindsets, strategies, and keep pushing. So we do that as well at BTS Strategy, Mary. We have our sales board, our coaching boards, which we customize, and I just look forward to interacting a lot more on this topic and getting leaders to embrace and move and evolve just as quickly as the technology is.
Absolutely. No, and I'm glad to hear you have sales bots, you have coaching bots, and I've seen all kinds of bots that people are now using, or even agent to handle all your emails, to handle all your sales calls. I saw a firm, a real estate firm. It has trained a bot that picks all the calls. It has all the properties. It has all, what are the beauty about the properties? What's the going price? It can negotiate. It's ask questions. And it speaks on the phone like a person. It's absolutely amazing. So thank you for those of you who are still here, all 49 of you. You've dropped a little bit from 68, but we have gone past the hour. My executive repositioning program, which is available on the Profiles Academy as a digital course, is still available. You can sign in for June. So National Academy, you can register there. But this Saturday, and it's a holiday, so you will still get your 2 days as a holiday, as a holiday off. We have an AI workshop for busy executives. You want to learn how do you work with ChatGPT beyond telling it to rephrase. You should not use ChatGPT for rephrasing your emails. It is your partner to create anything, a training program, a document, a concept paper. It will review your board papers. It will show you where the gaps are. It will create a book. It will create whatever you want it to be for you. There's Gamma, which is also a PowerPoint presentation tool. It will create the PowerPoint. You can load your own PowerPoint and then it will even make it better, get the right images for you, get your notes for you. There's CIDR, there's so many of them. There's the Google LM notebook, which is language model. You can create podcasts. You can do a lot of things. So we're going to take you on hold your hand and do it with your computer, and we work slowly so that we start to demystifying some of these tools that perhaps you work with. So you can contact Diana on that number. For those of you who are able to come, it's from 9 to 4. Then we'll have a networking session after that, because build networks and human connections is always important. And we'll look even into Perplexity as an AI for getting your news, because that's what I use to get my news, because it's so hard these days to get accurate news with all this AI going around. So I just want to thank you all, and I stop sharing for being with me today, and my two guests, Kibugi, thank you very much, and Dr.
Thank
Shiko.
you, Mary. Thank you, everyone.
Boogie's with BTS, look him up on LinkedIn, and his company BTS are using AI to a whole new level in having companies execute strategy. Unless there are any more questions, I'll be here for the next couple of minutes. Please feel free to ask. If you feel there's something we haven't answered, would love you to answer. In the chat is a Profiles International link for you to go and be able to reach for that course, and also more of what Profiles International do. And please go and look at DataWell and go and look at, I'm going to go into those two apps that Shiko talked about. I'm so impressed. Hakir.ai and the other one of the girls is just amazing. Okay. Somebody said, could Shiko mention the future of travel agents with the advent of AI? I think there's a lot of things that we just have to rethink. What the new jobs of the future haven't even been dreamt about. That's all I can see right now. So thank you, everybody. Shim, are we good? We can stop recording and we are good. Thank you, guys, and have a good night.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, bye.
Good night.
Thank you very much.